If you're asked to find the absolute value, what you're really being asked to do is to find the distance from that value to 0 on a number line. So for example, this notation, you would read this as the absolute value of 7. And what you're asked to do is find how many units away is 7 from the number 0 on a number line. And that would be 7 units to the right, or 7 units. Whereas the absolute value of -7 would still be 7, because -7 is still 7 units away from 0 on the number line. It's just 7 units to the left instead of to the right. So the absolute value of +7 is +7, and the absolute value of -7 is also +7. Now if you have something that looks like this is just a little bit trickier. Absolute values are essentially a grouping symbol, like in PEMDAS, how the parentheses or the brackets or the big fraction bar are grouping symbols. This is also a grouping symbol, the absolute value bars. So you would simplify the absolute value of -7 first, which is +7, and then you would bring down the remainder of this problem, which would be that negative sign that's out in front of the absolute value sign. So the opposite of the absolute value of -7 is -7. What you're going to see are just more challenging examples of order of operations, but with absolute value in it. So here's an example. Again, remember I mentioned that absolute value works like a grouping symbol. So you're going to simplify what's inside of these grouping symbols first. 15 minus 9 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then the remainder of the problem stays the same. The absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of 2 is 2. And finally, we're left with an order of operations problem that you have seen before, where we would do multiplication before we would do subtraction. Again, don't forget to circle or box your answers so they're easy to find. This last problem is just a little bit different because you're also being asked to evaluate. Remember, that is where you will substitute a number in for a variable. So we're plugging in the -15 for the x. The opposite of 15 plus 11 is -4, and the absolute value of -4 is +4.